మీ ఉద్యోగ సాధనలో మీకు తోడుగా
మీ S&S పబ్లికేషన్స్.
Hi students, welcome to S&S online classes. This is your Vijay sir. In this particular video, we shall have discussion on important topic from zoology. As Telangana state government already announced that they are going to notify the posts under the category called PGT and TGT. Now related to PGT, that is postgraduate trainer, we are going to discuss one important topic from zoology. Okay, now at the end of this video I am going to provide you some model bits also, so that's why watch till the end so that you will get maximum benefit, right? Now, so the topic that we are going to discuss in this particular video is assisted reproductive technology. Assisted reproductive technology. Which is popularly called ART. Okay. So before going to know about this assisted reproductive technology, first of all, we should know some of the important terms related to this. The first one is reproduction. The second one is infertility. Okay, infertility. Now what is meant by reproduction? The ability of an organism to produce the individuals of the same kind. A lion produces another lion, a tiger produces another tiger, a human being produces another human being. Like this, each and every organism has the capability of producing a new individual of its own kind. Such ability or such life process can be called as what? Reproduction. But there are some few individuals, especially if you take human beings, they may not have the capability of producing new offsprings. Especially throughout their lifetime, they may not have children. So that may be because of by birth there will be some problems in the male reproductive system in the case of male. There may be a problem in the female reproductive system in case of mother. So like that, because of the congenital, that is by birth, whatever the problems they have, and because of the intake of certain drugs, and due to certain sexually transmitted diseases, they may not have the capability of producing offsprings. Such inability, that is biological inability of a person to contribute to conception. Okay, so once again, biological inability of a person to contribute to conception can be called as what? Infertility. Okay, so this infertility, there are so many reasons for that, but in general this infertility can be further divided into two types. One is primary infertility, another one is secondary infertility. Primary infertility, another one secondary infertility. What do you mean by primary infertility? So this infertility refers to these couple may not have children throughout their life. Both have defects, that's why they do not have children. So that is primary infertility. But if you come to the secondary infertility, they have first conception, that means first time pregnancy will be there, but subsequent conception may not occur. So if that particular infertility is there, then it is called secondary infertility. Okay, so a mother will have first time pregnancy, after that no more pregnancies, that will be called secondary infertility. Okay, so like this, we can divide this infertility. Now, in such cases where there is no chance to repair or to overcome the problem of infertility, okay, the modern technology will provide some of the techniques. Those couple having the problem of this primary or secondary infertility, they can adapt the special techniques or special methods in order to have children. Those special techniques only called as what? Assisted reproductive technology. Okay, so this particular concept we are going to discuss in the entire syllabus, especially in the chapter called reproduction. There a subtopic is there that is called reproductive health and assisted reproductive technology. Okay, so now if you come to this assisted reproductive technology methods, so before going to know about that, once again if you come to this infertility, what are the reasons for the infertility either in the male or in the female? So let us see first the reasons for infertility in male. Okay, so in male, generally if you take the male reproductive system, the male reproductive system comprises of the testis, nothing but the male reproductive structures which produces the sperms. If there is any defect in the testis, okay, and from the testis this duct system will carry the sperms and it will be ejaculated outside. So most of the times or most of the cases, a male have the inability to produce the individuals means definitely that is because of low count of sperms or low sperm count. Then what is meant by this low sperm count? ఇక్కడ స్పర్మ్ ప్రొడక్షన్ అనేటటువంటిది తక్కువగా ఉండడాన్ని మనం ఏమంటున్నాం? లో స్పర్మ్ కౌంట్ అంటున్నాం. మరి అసలు లో స్పర్మ్ కౌంట్ని మనం ఎలా మెజర్ చేయొచ్చు? ఓకే, సో హియర్ ఇన్ జనరల్ ఇన్ ఎ నార్మల్ హెల్దీ పర్సన్, ఓకే, వన్స్ ద సెమెన్ హ్యాస్ ఎజాక్యులేటెడ్, how many sperms can be there in that particular semen means it will be approximately 15 millions to, okay, 15 millions to 200 millions, okay, 200 millions of sperms will be there in 1 ml of semen. Okay, so this is the normal range. At an average rate we can find. Now anything that will be less than 15 millions in 1 ml of semen can be considered as the low sperm count. Once again I repeat, low sperm count means normal ejaculation lo ento vastundi 15 millions to 200 millions. Okay, in a normal ejaculation definitely the semen consists of 20 millions, more than 20 millions of sperms will be present in a normal ejaculation. Okay, so here anything that will be less than 15 millions can be considered as what? Low sperm count. And for the low sperm count we will use an important term called oligospermia. Okay, oligospermia. So what do you mean by oligospermia? Oligospermia means it is the condition where the production of sperms will be less, right? So that is low count of sperms can be called as what? Oligospermia. Now even some individuals, they may produce enough count, but the sperms which are there in the semen may not be active in condition. In general, in the total sperms produced here, okay, in the total sperms produced here, at least 60% of the sperms should have proper shape and size. Okay, in the total sperms that are ejaculated out, must in that 60% must have proper shape and size, and in this 60% at least 40% of the sperms should be vigorously moving. Okay, so they have the capability of vigorous movement, at least 40%. So at least 40% vigorously moving sperms are there. Definitely the sperm can reach the ovum and can fertilize the ovum. So these are the two conditions that we have to remember related to this sperm activity. Okay, now so related to this only, there is one more term called azoospermia. What do you mean by azoospermia? Azoospermia is the term that refers to, in the total sperms produced, number of sperms or many of the sperms are not moving vigorously. So they have got slow movement. In such cases, the term which is applicable to that condition is nothing but azoospermia. So here oligospermia means low sperm count. Azoospermia means there may not be enough activity or enough movement in the sperms. If there is no enough movement in the sperms, then we will use the term called azoospermia. Okay, if there is a less count, then it is called oligospermia, right? So these are the some of the reasons, especially in the male, in order because of this they may not have the children. Okay, so in related to this there may be another condition called cryptorchidism. So what is this cryptorchidism? So this cryptorchidism means in general the testes are present in the male outside the body in a muscular sac-like structure called scrotum. So this situation will happen when a male baby is in mother's womb. But sometimes the testis may remains in the abdomen itself, okay, beneath the abdomen itself, and they may not enter into the scrotum. అలా స్క్రోటంలోకి టెస్టిస్ గనక ఎంటర్ కాకుండా ఉండే కండిషన్ గనక ఉంటే, అంటే బాడీలోనే ఉండిపోతే, దెన్ వీ కెన్ కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ వాట్? క్రిప్టార్కిడిజం. దిస్ క్రిప్టార్కిడిజం ఆల్సో లీడ్స్ టు ఇన్ఫర్టిలిటీ ఇన్ మేల్, okay, or it may cause sterility in males, right? So these are the another reason, if you take some of the sexually transmitted like diseases like gonorrhea, syphilis, if they are suffering with these diseases, definitely they may have the problem of infertility. Okay, so these are the reasons that we find in the male. Okay, so that is oligospermia, azoospermia, cryptorchidism and sexually transmitted. Then if you come to the female, okay, what are the reasons for infertility in female? So for that, if you take the female reproductive system, so here the female reproductive system comprises ovaries and the duct tube called, that is nothing but fallopian tube, where the fertilization occurs, okay, and this is the place where the child development takes place, that is nothing but uterus. Now here there may be tubular, that is tubal infections. Okay, what do you mean by tubal infection? Tubal infection means okay, the place where the fertilization occurs, that is nothing but the fallopian tube. Now here the completely fallopian tubes are damaged. If the fallopian tubes are completely damaged, then there is no chance to have fertilization. That's why this female is unable to reproduce or unable to have the pregnancy. So that is called tubal infections. That is the first reason. And the second one is damaged ovaries. Okay, if the ovaries are completely damaged, then there won't be production of the female gamete called ovum. Okay, so if this ovum is not produced, automatically the female may not have the problem, may not have the chance to get pregnancy, right? So that is another reason. And the third one, if you take sexually transmitted diseases like the bacterial disease like gonorrhea, syphilis, if these problems persist for a long time, then female may not have the capability of producing organisms. Okay, so these are the some of the reasons that we can find in both male and female, which may leads to infertility. Now in order to overcome these problems, okay, there is technology, the modern techniques are there. Okay, that only we are calling together as a assisted reproductive technology. Now, in this assisted reproductive technology, what methods are used in general? Okay, let us see that. The first one is called IVF ET. Okay, so what is meant by this IVF? IVF stands for in vitro fertilization. In vitro fertilization. Okay, then embryo transfer. Embryo transfer. Okay, in vitro fertilization, embryo transfer. So this is the first ART technique. Okay, and the second one can be considered as GIFT. Okay, and the third one can be considered as GIFT. The fourth one can be considered as ICSI, and the fifth one is called AI. Okay, so these are the some of the techniques that can be adapted either by a male or a female in order to have the children, right? Now let us take first one, IVF. As I already given the expanded name of that, in vitro fertilization. Now what do you mean by the word in vitro? Okay, so here you may have one more word also, that is in vivo. What is the difference between in vivo and in vitro? In vitro is a Latin word. In Latin words, in vitro means glass. Okay, that means in general the process of fusion of male gamete with female gamete can be called as fertilization. So this fertilization in general in human beings, it occurs in the female body, especially in the female reproductive system. There is a structure called fallopian tube. Internal fertilization takes place. Now here the problem occurs in the fallopian tubes. So because of that, the ovum will be collected from the mother, the sperm will be gathered from the father, and both will be fused in the laboratory. Okay, that means ovum get fertilized in the laboratory. After that, the ovum is allowed to develop for some stage, then it will be shifted to the mother's body. Okay, so that particular technology only called as what? In vitro fertilization, embryo transfer. Okay, so once the fertilization is over, allowed to develop for some time, then it will be transferred into the mother's womb, that is into the fallopian tube or directly into the uterus. So depending on the stage of embryo, depending on the site of transformation, okay, so depending on the site of transformation, depending on the stage of embryo transfer, okay, this particular embryo transfer can be divided into two types. One is GIFT, another one is IUT. Okay, GIFT, IUT. So ఇక్కడ మనకి ఏం చెప్తున్నాను, లాబొరేటరీలో ఓవమ్ని స్పర్మ్ని కలెక్ట్ చేసుకొని ఫర్టిలైజ్ చేసి ఆ ఫర్టిలైజేషన్ జరిగిన తర్వాత దాన్ని కొంత డెవలప్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఇన్ 8 సెల్డ్ బ్లాస్టోమియర్ స్టేజ్లో 8 బ్లాస్టోమియర్ స్టేజ్లో ఓకే 8 బ్లాస్టోమియర్ స్టేజ్లో జనరల్గా ఏం చేస్తారు, ద ఓవమ్ విల్ బి దట్ ఎంబ్రియో విల్ బి ట్రాన్స్ఫర్డ్. ఓకే, సో జనరల్ ఇఫ్ యూ అబ్జర్వ్ ద development that takes place in the zygote, like this the fertilized egg will undergo the process called cleavage and divided into 2 cell stage, 4 cell stage and 8 cell stage. Generally at this particular stage the embryo transfer will occur. Okay, now depending on the stage of embryo transfer, depending on the site of embryo transfer, okay, this embryo transfer can be divided into two types. One is GIFT, another one is IUT. Okay, so what is meant by GIFT? So before going to know about these two, let us come to this word in vivo. In vivo, in vitro means in the lab, that is artificially. In vivo means natural. Okay, so naturally if the sperm fuses with the ovum, that is in the female body, we can call it as in vivo. So in vivo fertilization occurs means nothing will be there. Okay, no technology adaptation, nothing. But here, since there is a defect, we are following this in vitro fertilization. That is the difference between in vitro and in vivo, right? Now let us come to these two terms, GIFT and the IUT. So depending on the site of embryo transfer and depending on the site of embryo transfer, stage of embryo transfer and site of embryo transfer, this embryo transfer can be divided into two types. One is GIFT, another one is IUT. So GIFT means zygote, intra fallopian transfer. Okay, then what do you mean by this IUT? Intra uterine transfer. Okay, now if you take these two terms here, it is called zygote intrafallopian transfer. That means the embryo will be transfused or transferred into the fallopian tube. Whereas here it is called intrauterine transfer. That means the embryo will be transferred into the uterus. In general, if it is a 8-celled stage, that is 8 blastomere stage, that will be nothing but GIFT, that is zygote intrafallopian transfer. If the development is beyond 8-celled or 8-celled stage, okay, around 16 or something like that, then they may follow another method called IUT. So instead of transferring that embryo into the fallopian tube, they may transfer that embryo directly into the uterus. Okay, so if this embryo has transferred into the uterus, it is called intrauterine transfer. Okay, so this intrauterine transfer is little bit advanced in the developmental stages of the embryo, right? So but initial stage means definitely they will follow this GIFT. Okay, in the GIFT, the embryo will be transferred into the fallopian tube, whereas here in the 16-cell stage, okay, that embryo will be transferred into the uterus, right? Like that we can divide it into two types. Clear? Now then if you come to this IVF, in vitro fertilization, where the fertilization takes place inside the laboratory, sometimes we may refer to another term called test tube baby. Okay, so what is meant by this test tube baby? So test tube baby is also almost equal to this IVF only, where there is a collection of ovum and sperm and it will be fused or fertilized in the laboratory, and after that this zygote, okay, or the embryo will be shifted to the mother's body. Okay, so like that this process takes place. That's why it is called a test tube baby. Okay, it is called what? Test tube baby. Now in the world, the first test tube baby was born on July 25th. Okay, on July 25th, 1978. So the name of the baby is Louis Brown. And the doctor who has involved in this production of the first test tube baby in the world is nothing but Edwards. Okay, so this Edwards is the scientist or the doctor who is responsible behind the development of this technology, and the first baby was born on July 25th, 1978. The name of the baby is Louis Brown. Remember, it's a female baby. Okay, then in India, in the same year, but in the month of October 3, okay, 1978, for the first time, the first test tube baby of India was born on October 3rd, 1978. So her name is Kanupriya Agarwal. She was the first test tube baby in India. This technique was adapted by Subhash Mukherjee, but this man, even though he has produced the first test tube baby of India, but it was not accepted by the scientific society. So that's why it hasn't, because this man was harassed by them and not accepted. But the accepted first test tube baby of India was burned in August 6th, 1986. August 6th, 1986. Nothing but Harsha. So this baby was made, or the technology behind the birth of this baby was done by Indira Hinduja. Okay. So like this, if you relate it to the test tube baby, if you take, these are the key points that you have to remember in addition. Okay. But generally remember, the test tube, the term test tube baby usually refers to the technology called GIFT, zygote intrafallopian transfer, where this zygote will be allowed to produce in the laboratory, then it will be allowed for further development into the transferred into the mother's womb, right? So that's about this IVF ET. Then also the second method called GIFT. Then if you come to the third one, that is GIFT, then fourth one ICSI, then AI. And if you take these three methods, okay, so the first GIFT is the method which is adapted by a female where there is a defect. Okay, if there is a defect in the female body, especially either in the ovaries or in the fallopian tube, they may follow this technique called GIFT. So, and if you take the remaining two, that is ICSI and AI, both are adapted in the male. So if there is a defect in the male, especially related to the sperm count, if the problem persists for a long time, then the male can be adapted these two techniques, that is ICSI and AI. Now let us take first GIFT, that is what is the full form of this GIFT and how to understand this technique. Okay. Now if you take this GIFT, GIFT stands for gamete. Okay, gamete intrafallopian, gamete intrafallopian transfer, gamete intrafallopian transfer. Okay, so gamete intrafallopian transfer. So what is the meaning of this particular technique? Why it is particularly mentioned as a gamete intrafallopian transfer? Then how this technique is related to a female who has got a defect? Okay. Now here, in general, if a female does not have proper fallopian tubes, okay, so or the female is unable to produce, okay, unable to produce, not proper fallopian tube, unable to produce, a female unable to produce ovum, okay, unable to produce ovum. That means here the female, in the female body or in the female reproductive system, fallopian tubes, uterus are perfect in condition, but ovaries are not in perfect condition. Since ovaries are completely damaged, since ovaries are unable to produce the ovum, a female may not have the chance to have the child, so or to have the children. In such cases, this female can adapt a method called this GIFT. So in this, the first condition is the female is unable to produce ovum, and the second condition, have good conditions for fertilization, okay na, for fertilization in fallopian tubes, and very good conditions for development, in the uterus. Okay. So for the process of fertilization, conditions are favorable. For the development in the uterus also, conditions are very much suitable, but ovum is not produced. So in such cases, a ovum will be collected from a donor female, okay, from a donor female, and it will be transfer into the fallopian tube for fertilization. So that particular technique only called as what? GIFT, gamete intrafallopian transfer. Literally we can consider this as a gift for a female who has got defect in their ovaries. Okay, so that's about this method, right? Then next one is called what? The ICSI. What is this ICSI? As I already mentioned, these are the two methods which are adapted by the male. ICSI stands for intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Intracytoplasmic sperm injection. This particular ICSI technique or the technology, initially, that is in olden days, it is used to be called as SUSI. Okay, what is meant by SUSI means subzonal injection. Subzonal injection. Subzonal injection. After making number of changes, okay, more changes, further it will be called as what? Intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Okay, now what is this technique? So here if you take the picture, this is called in vitro fertilization. So in the laboratory, the sperm is allowed to enter into the ovum and fertilization takes place. Okay, and this is called gamete intrafallopian transfer, that is GIFT. Okay, then we can have this GIFT also. So this is a zygote intrafallopian transfer. Okay, then if we come to this particular technique called ICSI, so here through a special injections or the special needles, what happened? They collect the ovum from the mother and they will transfer the sperm directly into the cytoplasm of the ovum. So that particular technique only called as what? Intracytoplasmic sperm injection. And why this particular method is adapted, especially related to the male, means here there may be a chance of low sperm count. Then a male may not have the ability to ejaculate sperms into the female body, okay, or into the female reproductive system or into the female reproductive tract. So in such cases, the sperms are collected and ovum is collected, then it will be through injections, so the sperm directly placed into the ovum. After that fertilization takes place, then this fertilized zygote will be transferred into the mother's body. Okay, so here in the in vitro fertilization or in this ICSI technique, if there is no problem in the mother's body, they may transfer. If there is problem or a defect in the female body, either in the in the uterus or in the fallopian tube, especially in the uterus, this means for further development, తర్వాత డెవలప్మెంట్ జరగాలంటే మనం ఏం చేయాలా? ఈ జైగోట్ని ఫీమేల్ రీప్రొడక్టివ్ సిస్టంలోకి మనం ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ చేయాలి. ఒకవేళ అక్కడ గనక డిఫెక్ట్ ఉంటే ఆ సిచ్యువేషన్స్లో ఏం చేస్తారంటే దెన్ దే విల్ గో ఫర్ సర్రోగేట్ మదర్. ఓకే, సర్రోగేట్ మదర్, అద్దె గర్భము అంటారు. ఓకే, సో హియర్ ఎ ఫీమేల్ విల్ బి సెలెక్టెడ్ who does not have any disorders in the uterus. Okay, so that zygote will be directly placed there so that further development occur. And here remember, a surrogate mother does not have any right on the child. Okay, just she gives birth to the child. After that the child has to be given to the father and mother, then she has to go away from that particular place. Okay, so that is about this ICSI. Okay, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Okay, then and the next last method or the last technique is nothing but AI. What is this AI? Artificial insemination. Okay, artificial insemination. So what do you mean by this artificial insemination? So here the sperms are collected artificially and it will be allowed to release into the female body. So here also a male may not have the proper sperm count, may have the defect of ejaculation, so that At that particular situation, the sperms will be collected from the father, okay, and will be transferred into the fallopian tube directly. Okay, so there is a chance to have the fertilization. Now, in this artificial insemination, if the sperms are collected from the father, that is called AIF, okay, or we can call it as AIH. H stands for husband. Artificial insemination from husband. Okay, sometimes we can call this as AID also, that is artificial insemination from donor. Okay, so either from the husband or from the donor, the sperms will be collected and it will be transferred into the female body through a special technique. Okay, so this is called artificial insemination technique. Okay, the sperm injected into the uterus so that they may run and slowly enters into the fallopian tube and they fuse with the ovum and fertilization takes place, right? So this is about another important technique which can be adapted by the male related to the infertility, right? So that's about the total important 6 methods. Okay, and here one more important term also remember related to the AIA. Sometimes if the sperms are transferred directly into the uterus, it is called AIU, that is artificial insemination or intrauterine. So that is called, sorry, here not AIU, that is called intrauterine. Okay, intrauterine insemination, IUI, intrauterine insemination. So that will be in that particular method what will happen, the sperms are directly kept in the uterus, that is why it's called intrauterine insemination. If it is the sperms collected from the husband, artificial insemination from husband, either from donor, artificial insemination from D, that is a donor, right? That's about the overall 5 important assisted reproductive technology methods. Okay, so that is IVF, ET, that is in vitro fertilization, embryo transfer, ZIFT, zygote intrafallopian transfer, GIFT, gamete intrafallopian transfer, then ICSE, intracytoplasmic sperm injection, AI, artificial insemination. Okay, so these modern techniques will help the couple, those who have the birth defects or some other defects or because of the intake of certain drugs, they may not have chance to have children in the subsequent generations also. Okay, so now related to this particular topic, so what are the model bits or what kind of bits can be asked in the examination? Now let us see those bits. So first one, here comes your first bit on the screen. Okay, so here comes your first question on the screen. Now the first question, difference between ZIFT and IUT lies in the difference between ZIFT and IUT. So ZIFT means zygote intrafallopian transfer, IUT means intrauterine transfer. As I already mentioned, depending on the site of embryo transfer, depending on the stage of embryo transfer, this embryo transfer can be divided into 2 types. One is ZIFT, another one is IUT. Okay, now here the question is, what is the difference between ZIFT and IUT? Okay, first option, methodology of fertilization, nature of the sperms that fuse ova, nature of the cells transferred, number of the cells transferred. So here method of fertilization cannot be applicable. Nature of the sperms that fuse ova, not at all. Okay, then nature of the cells transferred, cells ni transfer చేస్తారు ఇక్కడ చేయరు. ఏం ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ చేస్తారు? నంబర్ ఆఫ్ ద సెల్స్. ఓకే, సో ఏ నంబర్లో ఉన్నటువంటి సెల్స్ని మనం ఇక్కడ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ చేస్తున్నాం, 8 నంబరా, ఓకే, 16 నంబర్ అనేది ఇంపార్టెంట్. సో దట్స్ వై ద నంబర్ ఆఫ్ ద సెల్స్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్డ్. సో ఆప్షన్ 4 ఈజ్ ద right answer. If it is 8, that is called GIFT. If it is more than 8, that is called IUT. So in the GIFT, the transfer occurs in the fallopian tubes, and whereas in the IUT technique it will be occur in the uterus, right? Then next question, ZIFT stands for. So it's a direct question, zygote intrafallopian transfer. That is option 1. Zygote interfallopian transfer, zygote infallopian transfer, all of those. So option 1 is the right answer, zygote intrafallopian transfer, right? Next, ICSI stands for. So ICSI stands for what? Option 1, intercytoplasmic semen injection. Option 2, intracytoplasmic semen injection. Option 3, intercytoplasmic semen injection. Option 4, incytoplasmic semen injection. So it is called intracytoplasmic semen injection. That is option 2. And the next question, assertion, inability to produce children in spite of unprotected sex. The reason for this could be physical, congenital diseases, drugs, etc. Okay. So infertility, as I already mentioned, they may have the safe sex. Okay. That unprotected sex will be there. So not using condoms or any other thing, but they may not have the children. In general, if a couple getting married within 2 years, if they do not have, if they have children, definitely there won't be any problem. If it beyond 2 years, definitely both has to be checked. Okay. So once they have gone the checkup, then they will know what defect they may have. Kabatti 2 years anedi normal. After 2 years, we have to go for the checkup. So here, based on that only the statement is made. So inability to produce children in spite of unprotected sex, the reason for that is physical congenital disease. That's why both A and R, both are true. R is the correct explanation of A, right? Next question. Match the following columns, column 1 and column 2 given, ZIFT, ICSI, GIFT. So here matching is given. So the ZIFT stands for zygote intrafallopian transfer, that is 3. ICSI, that is intracytoplasmic sperm injection, okay, that is 5. Then GIFT, gamete intrafallopian transfer. So 3, 5, 2 is the right answer. So where do you find this 3, 5, 2? So option 2 is the correct answer for the question. Okay. Next one. Secondary infertility is. Secondary infertility. What do you mean by secondary infertility? Secondary infertility means what I said. The primary infertility means they may not have children, but in the secondary infertility, they have one child, but subsequent pregnancy may not take place. So here let us see the options. Patient who cannot do sex, sterility, impotency. It indicates previous pregnancy but failure to conceive subsequently. So option 4 is the right answer for this question. Next one. Which artificial reproductive technique can help a lady conceive a child if both her fallopian tubes are blocked? Okay. Which artificial reproductive technique can help a lady to conceive or to have a child if both her fallopian tubes are blocked? If both fallopian tubes are blocked, definitely what method is applicable here? So option A, SUSI. Option B, IVF, that is option 2. Option 3, ZIFT. Option 4, GIFT. So here, if you take here the options, ZIFT, zygote intrafallopian transfer. That means what? The zygote will be transferred into the fallopian tubes. But here the problem for the female is fallopian tubes only. If fallopian tubes a problem unnapudu ZIFT applicable avutada. So eliminate this one. Then if you come to the GIFT, gamete intrafallopian transfer. Gamete. So here the female is unable to produce the ovum. Unable to produce the ovum kabatti em chestunnam, ovum ni donor nunchi collect cheskoni fallopian tube lo place chestunnam, so that a female can conceive. Kani ikkada problem fallopian tube kabatti GIFT also not applicable. Then what is this SUSI? Subzonal injection. So this is a sperm ni ovum loki introduce చేసేటటువంటి technique. So that's why this is also not applicable. Now answer for the question is IVF, in vitro fertilization. So here, since the fallopian tubes are blocked, where there is a chance for internal fertilization, akkade fertilization jarige place kabatti ippudu em chestaru, sperm ni ovum ni collect chesi laboratory lo fuse chesi డైరెక్ట్గా కొంత డెవలప్మెంట్ జరిగిన తర్వాత దెన్ ఇట్ విల్ బి ప్లేస్డ్ ఇన్ ద embryo, the embryo will be placed in the uterus, okay, so that a female can have children, right? The next one, test tube baby implies which of the following techniques? Test tube baby, so IUI option 1, ICSI option 2, gift option 3, gift option 4. Now here the test tube baby, IUI means intrauterine insemination, okay, ICSI means intracytoplasmic sperm injection, gift means gamete intrafallopian transfer. So here a test tube baby means the fertilization takes place in the laboratory and it will be shifted to the mother's body. That's why it is called a ZIFT, zygote intrafallopian transfer, okay. Louis Brown, July 6th, 25th, 1978, October 3rd, 1978 in India. That also then August 6th, 1986, the first accepted test tube baby in India, okay. So those are the key points that you have to remember in addition to this test tube baby, okay. So this is overall some of the important bits that are related to this assisted reproductive technology. Always S&S is known for the trust, okay, ఒక నమ్మకం. ఏదైతే మనం చెప్తున్నామో అది చేయడానికి ట్రై చేసేటటువంటి ఏకైక ఆన్లైన్ ప్లాట్ఫామ్. సో we are already made the number of videos which are related to this PGT. So that's why go through the Play Store and download app and get all the video classes so that in the upcoming PGT examination, especially related to the zoology and even botany also, you will get maximum benefit, okay. So that's all about this class. Thank you for watching and I wish you all the best.